if you think those are the ones that are coming to help you, if you think these are the ones causing the bright lights in the sky when you look up, I don't know, my naga. If you think these are the ones coming to help you, I don't know, my naga. We got some things to talk about. Hey, hot to the tribe. Peace to the real ones. You know, we just surfing the wave. I mean, whoa. What are we digging on, right? Let's get it back. So you see, there was an abduction that was going, into motion. And nonetheless, they want to say in the title, of course, so-called alien. But we're going to get to how these things how they all play. Because they all play. Peace to the real ones. Let's get it. Now, as we see, she continues to wake up from a reset, a sort of a reset. She doesn't remember what happened to her. All right. And the other girl, Jupiter, seems to remember, what's happened to her. All right. And when digging on this, it's interesting because, like I said from the drop before, right? Let's see. I think like right there, almost. We're gonna get it right. All right. Kind of. Let's see more. All right, right here. Now this thing kind of has like a cat's face. Remember what I said? These different entities have all different types of faces. All right. And when we're talking about this grafting that took place, like I said, I had it wrong. I had it right, but I had it wrong. All right. Because we're dealing with the ether wars. And you have different types of beings that always wanted to incarnate into the perfect flesh. But they weren't created in the frequency of the perfect flesh, in the perfect harmony. That which is within nature. They weren't created from that source. From your Hawa, which led to many different types of mimicry. Nonetheless, you can see where these beings, take their role, all right, and where they didn't hold their place amongst the stars once upon a time, all right. These entities would be projected as something greater than you, when in reality, they spend their design trying to figure you out, right? Constantly working upon you, seeing how it is that you are. Tampering with your flow. Peace to the real ones. So just keep these things in mind as we dig on the topic, all right? Because like I said, we was going to get to it. I'm just, appreciative to get that moment to do so. So, Aha, to all the real ones, we're going to continue. Peace, peace. And before we continue, I just want to bring everyone's attention to, the bro doing this thing, man. This was some real dry, wise words spoken from a real one. And, just Aha for the bros for, for continuing to just supply that water. You know what I'm saying? And, I was sitting back and I caught this one earlier on. And I'm just like, man, you know what I'm saying? So, peace to the bro, man, to the family. Aha to, everything that continues to flow. Especially to those in the front line pushing the creative first. It gets real. It gets real. You know what I'm saying? And it just feels good to hear, that no matter what, it's a connection. You know what I'm saying? No matter how it goes, there's a connection. Everything's connected. And when it's go time, it's go time. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, out to the bro for that, man. And peace to all the real ones that are tapping in. We're going to go ahead and continue to flow. If that's cool with you. You know what I'm saying? We just continuing from where we left off at. Peace, peace. Peace, peace to the tribe. Peace to the tribe. We're just back with another presentation, and this one is the metaphysics of the magnetic brain. Sourced from Hawaii, but brought to your attention by none other than Hope everyone's doing magnetic. Hope you're ready for a little charge, a little build. Aha to the elements. You know what I'm saying? All praises to our Amma, our Abba. Because without both, we wouldn't be we. You know what I'm saying? Everything's been copacetic right here in the dojo on this side. So I hope and wish nothing but, the same for you. And whatever you're going through, I just hope that we can also find a time to magnetize. Because we're going to surf the wave. You know what I'm saying? So, peace to the real ones. And aha to you for tapping in. Like I said, we just picking up from where we left off, just in case. If that was kind of, sudden. We anticipate such things, so we just within the flow. We're going to get it right. So let's get it. You cannot force someone to comprehend a message that they are not ready to receive. Still, you must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. My naga, as you start to spiral up, you begin to recognize we are all seeds. It takes a special seed to sprout and rise from darkness. This same type of darkness, they wish to hold a curse upon you perpetually. It has been ingrained, indoctrinated, and pushed upon you worse than any bad habit. Nonetheless, you still rise, you still shine, you go hard for what you believe in. And when it comes to Hawa, there is no better feeling, no better source. Especially when it comes to getting our land back. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to keeping the code. That's most high over everything. A-ha to 5 eyes. You know what I'm saying? We're just building. Right? That which is the ether. That which is the charge. So I hope that, you're ready to get up on this ether bus. So we're cranking up for another one. This was a post that, I made up on the IG some time ago. But I wanted to bring it here to your attention. Let's blow it up a little bit so we can get the caption down. Well, that's as best as it's gonna let me. Let me see if we can zoom in a little more. Hold on. No, I think that's about it. Alright, it says the position of the child in the mother's womb is the natural squatting posture of man, where all energy currents can flow freely to produce a perfect human body and for maintaining good health after birth and throughout life in this world. Alright. It says this is the origin of it, and here is the reason for its fine results as a natural health exercise. Alright. And when we get, never mind they're throwing at you, the zodiac. What we want to get is the elements. Alright? Because we're just talking about the elements and the attributes and influence thereof to make what you see around us, right? We're just talking that sacred geometry. You know what I'm saying? The Platonic solids, A-ha to the 10th. That's a steady flow. That's a steady charge. You know what I'm saying? So we're just talking about our mind. We all got through the portal. We just talking to my trees. You know what I'm saying? We never left the matrix because the matrix is ours. I thought you knew. If you was really hearing the monad discussion, oh yeah. But, we're just talking about the harmony. We're talking about the 4 elements, aka the 4 corners. Pure water, that is you, dog. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So keep this in mind as we continue to build, of course. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who's going to get burnt from this electricity. So just continue to, be the light that you are. Because you still shine from a place of darkness. But we're coming back. We are back. We've been back. Because like 5 Eyes said, we've been old. You've been old, my naga. And it's time to get what's yours. We're going to continue to keep the code. Peace, peace. Are we really made of stardust? Alright, stars that go supernova are responsible for creating many of the elements of the periodic table, including those that make up the human body. Which is why we refer to as the elemental. And from the last slide, the previous slide, I was showing you how. But we're going to continue to, touch on this topic. Let's go. It is totally 100% true. Nearly all the elements in the human body were made in that star. And many have come through several supernovas. Most of the elements that make up the human body were formed in stars. Alright? And we're just talking the basics. Alright? We're just talking the basics. Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium. You know what I'm saying? You want to know what the elements are? You want to know what the ether is? I've been saying it this whole time, baby. It's you. A-Hop to Jod Nation. We're going to continue this wonderful flow. Yeah. Alright. So here again, we're just looking at the body made of elements. Alright. We're just talking polarities of energy. Now it says the chest represents the physical field of airness and respiration. The energy aspect of the airy element is usually attributed to the mind, the brain, and the nervous system prior to the physical function. And this is primarily where we're going to be focusing on this drop. So just stay with me. But notice the fire element is the primary vital mind pattern. Alright. And your neutral is the etheric. Alright, you see where that's at? Your air element is the respiratory and circulatory system. The chest and the lungs, right? The earth element is the digestive system, assimilation, elimination area. And that Wata element being the genital urinary system, alright? The elemental body. Alright, we're talking of condensing that which, relates you to what's referred to as a star. And if you got it from previous drops, that rarefied gas is that ether, which is why you are the ether open. You know what I'm saying? It's always been the same conversation, the same topic. Like I said, just in case if the last drop was a bit sudden. But we're going to keep it pushing. Peace, peace. This is where all your thoughts are kept. Every other part of your body is used to protect and sustain this. We're just digging on the brain, right? Which is, the seed. Once the seed begins to take form, it develops the brain along with the nervous system, everything else. And you know what they say completely enhances this structure right here, this piece of anatomy. That is, of course, melanin. Alright. It's a supercharge. But I'm sure you already knew. What connects the mind to the body is the nervous system, which medical textbooks refer to as the master control system. You will be amazed at how the spine and nervous system interrelate and connect to every aspect of our expression of health and wellness. Now just imagine that infused with this melanin. That's what they don't want you to know. That's what they don't tell you enough. That's what they don't teach. I'm not saying I'm a teacher. I'm just saying, you know, things are mighty interesting once you know where and when to apply them. Okay? Again, you know, when talking about the dimensions in the brain, starting from your reptilian brain, right? Whoever wrote this made a mistake on the spelling of this. But nonetheless, I like how they break down the physical ether body, right? The cerebellum and the brain stem. And they want to refer to this as the reptilian brain. Your dragoon brain, right? This is the brain of the Dracon, right? And then, of course, they want to mention the mammalian brain, solar plexus and heart chakras, emotional body, the subconscious, also your limbic system. You have your neocortex, your cerebral cortex, consciousness, the mental body, and the throat chakra. Before you have consciousness of the pituitary gland, intuition, casual body, third eye chakra. And 5 is of the higher self, the pineal gland, inspiration, aka, you know, revelation, casual body, and crown chakra. And these are all different dimensions. So when they tell you that those little hybrids of lesser stature come from a different dimension, you know when and where to dodge the hijack. Because these dimensions exist within the brain. Alright. And it takes a state of meditation to achieve such ascension. Nonetheless, this is a natural function by law, established to you by Hawa. Once you are in code. Alright. Where do memories live? In the neocortex, the prefrontal cortex, in the I don't know what that is. Alright. Number 4 is the basal ganglia. 5 is the hippocampus. And number 6 is cerebellum. Alright. So all the memories are stored right where you see depicted. Which means that every time I've been saying to activate your memory, to refresh your memory, to charge your memory, you see where I've been aiming? Because this is what they're aiming at non-stop. Picking off all of our people. Many of our warriors are their athletes. You know what I'm saying? Hey, how to all the athletic ones that surf the wave and watch the channel. You know what I'm saying? That's tapped in on the IG. Hey, how to everybody tapped in with your real one in all ways possible. Because they know what time it is right now. You know what I'm saying? They know what's going on. You know, but that's where our warriors are. Right? Our warriors are. Half of them are in the streets. And they're focused on gunning down each other. So can you imagine where they have your memory popping off at? Cracking off at? You see where they going with it? You see was being regenerated, because memories live on. They're processed, expressed. They continue. This is a way of thinking of perpetual servitude. That is the headshot, my nigga. We're just talking bullseye. So every time you come to this channel, I'm only hoping to flex that which matters most in the Wata. The observer is not separate from the object being observed. Therefore, when you keep in the code, you're not separated from the code which you keep. As the observer, you're just observing the function, which makes you related. Which is why we know, by observing Hawa Hawa, keeping the code, well, we know how Hawa feels about that. Ama Abba. And this is just to help you understand why, as well. This is just a pure water flow brought to you by Drive Nation. Sponsored by the Creator. Ain't no in-betweens, if you know what I mean. But the stream is mean. Your intention is your attention, which is why they demand you pay to so many things. But when you're observing the code, your possibilities are endless. I'm just speaking life into the tribe right now. Peace to the tribe. Peace to the tribes. Let's continue. So we're just looking at the macrocosmic scale of vibration, ranging from sound to electric to magnetic, which interlinks to the thought and the mind that is channeled by the will, sourced from the soul. We're just talking the rise of the elevation. True classification of powers and forces operating in the invisible realm of the human being. Alright, and all of these vibrations or octaves are intensified by that pigmentation. Hawa Hawa. Alright, so pay attention to the octaves, to the measurements, to the units. Peace to you. Because we always got to touch on the music to the sound, man. It wouldn't be 432 without the sound. Yeah. Let go. 3 types of etheric waves. The vertical mind energy waves from the North Pole, the head, and South Pole, the feet. The anterior and the posterior on the right and left side. Alright. Vital neutral energy spirals anterior from the umbilicus, posterior from the end of the spinal cord at the 12th dorsal, inner space at lumbar vertebrae. Alright. It says the horizontal sun and moon path energy from east to west, from back, front to back. Etheric and magnetic atomic type energy spirals which tie into the central core as the sustaining life breath. That's why that in and out is the charge. Alright, 3 etheric energy waves. Alright, we're really talking about charging up. With your breath, that is your Hawa. Hawa. You know what I'm saying? I hope you just dig in the flow. We're going to continue. Peace, peace. Okay, so these are just different wavelengths and emotions and how they wave. Alright. And it's to let you know, as a signal, how your signal reaches others and yourself, and that which you are attached to. The elements, your surrounding living situation. You know what I'm saying? It all matters. You know, so when we're talking surfing the wave, when we're talking about building a magnetic wave, this is quite the example. Now, they want to keep you in a perpetual bliss, elevated state, which is why they trigger with your emotions of freedom. They tell you to love, 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 right? But how is it that love is attached to Jupiter? How is it that Jupiter is attached to Christ? How is it that Christ is attached to how are we supposed to experience joy? If we can't appreciate the code. But I guarantee you, once you keep the code, you build on your gratitude. Your will is your powwow. Because your powwow is Hawa. You maintain your control over anger and fear. You remove the guilt and shame of idolatry. You know what I'm saying? If not, keeping the code of your transgressions, which will ease your suffering, removing your victimization and pain, and therefore your lust of power is unnecessary. You know, you don't want your frequencies to move slower. You don't want to be in survival emotions, stuck in the density matter. You want to ascend. The faster frequency isn't a day just gone. You don't feel this charge. You don't feel that so-called 24-hour clock. Just that shit gone. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel that? I feel it just by building with you, my nigga. It's flying. We almost up out of here. Hope you're ready to check out, because it's on to the next. Movement of the stored energy from the body to the brain. Okay, releasing the first centers to the brain, thus making the body to become a magnet by running a current up the spine to produce an electromagnetic field, which is why I was asking you about your currency. So we're not talking about your current as in your energy, your inner Hawa. Then you're just a battery, a bot, producing food for the moon. You're a snack. You know what I'm saying? I don't intend to be harvested on or fed on. I do intend to supply my nagas with that spiral 9, that 9 spiral. You see what I'm saying? This is just how you charge up to become that magnet. You know what I'm saying? This is how you plug in, tap in, charge up. But it's all in how you perceive this thought. That is the consciousness. We're just talking about your memory to elevate your dimension. You know what I'm saying? You get the magnet going within the body, then you start to do real things. You start to manifest real things, taking over the reality that is yours. Energetic communication. Research conducted in our laboratory has confirmed that when an individual is in heart coherence, the heart radiates a more coherent electromagnetic signal into the environment that can be detected by the nervous systems of other people and animals. Now, I want you to keep this slide in mind. Please save it as a memory. Dot this time and say, Natural said to remember this, come back to it. So we're going to build. All right, but keep this in mind. It's a beautiful feeling. It's beautiful to know in the knowledge that the flow has always been there. They just don't, and they never have taught us. But you've always been. You know what I'm saying? So when we're conducting this energy, we then begin to build on that vehicle we were mentioning just the drop before. Because you don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body. Just let that marinate. I remember I posted this on the IG and they said I was spreading false news, man. I said, dang, man, who's the fat police? What? Do you not have a body? Your soul is forever. For the soul does not perish with the body. We're going to continue to charge this ether bus up. Peace to the real ones. Makes me wonder what happens to the soul when we sleep. We know that sleep mainly helps assist the body in recharging itself. But the soul continues. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Insidious, but that's exactly what they highlight, right? Especially in children, they separate from their bodies quite often. End up seeing some type of boogeyman and blah, blah, blah. Alright? Same little boogeyman that they see is the same ones that try to lift off with that woman in the intro. Alright? Only those things were able to take her body physically, but notice how she wasn't conscious. Which means that that certain part within her brain wasn't active. Which is why you always got to be active. Right? This always makes me wonder. But when you're within the frequency, you know what I'm saying? Your energy is on 9. Your vibration has no choice but to be the same. You know what I'm saying? This is how you're able to charge up. You know, you're just getting the basics. We're talking elementals. Really, we just talking you. You know what I'm saying? I kept saying the last drop was a scary story, because once you begin to mentally perceive the reality, it shocks folks. You know what I'm saying? It shocks them. It puts them in a state of it's a challenge. Yeah. Very few make it from that, you know what I'm saying? Which is why keeping the code is so essential. That is the balance. You remove your creator, you remove your sanity. Alright, because we're just talking 1/2 of this Merkabah. You know, we picking up from the last drop, I'm telling you. We're not playing with them this time around. We in that bag. Peace to the tribe, peace to the tribes. Special A-hop to you. We're just talking about the light, the spirit in the body, energetic field surrounding the body. Used during meditation, it is a source of power and enlightenment, used to transcend to other dimensions and realities, a vehicle of spiritual ascension. This is how, you know, you stay protected. This is your vehicle, right? Your car, your true car. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going to keep you protected from perpetrators. You know what I'm saying? You keep your Merkabah on point, they're not going to be able to jump out on you like they did old girl. And later like they do Jupiter. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be able to do that to you. You keeping the code. You within the frequency, you charged up. Alright. We're just talking elemental bodies. What they refer to as stardust. The earth, that which gives substantiality to all things, whether solid, liquid, gas, ethereal, or spiritual. Water. That state which moves, renders things liquid on either plane of existence. Motion. See how water represents motion. Air, that which enables things to assume a gaseous form. The extension. Fire, that which endows them endows them with force. Fire is the energy. And ether is the fifth element, in which the attributes of all other states have their basis, will be the principal object for scientific research in the coming centuries, and is in fact the first and the one element. Alright. The one element. We're talking the monad. Notice how it's the circle. We're talking the monad. We're talking the charge, the will. Ezekiel's will. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of folks thinking they, mean otherwise, and I understand. But keep in mind, if they're flying crafts, right, and they're in the material realm, they're just as materialized. You know what I'm saying? And the body's in a different state. But when your charge is on Quan, like Joshua, you command the sun through Hawa. All these elements bend to your favor. Y'all thought airbender was something. Okay. Because we're just talking about you. We're just picking up from the last drop. You know what I'm saying? Now, them beings do come from the astral realm. But when you begin to tap into this interstellar cosmic drop, shit gets right on point, which is what Jupiter ascending is about. Notice Channing Tatum when he goes in to save her, what he reveals himself as. My real ones, you know, let them know what he refers to himself as. And you understand why we call it the last drop, and what we've been surfing on. Which is why I said I had it wrong, but I had it right. Hurrah, hurrah. Because now we get into the Octahedron, which is your Merkabah on 10. We're going to take it to 10. You know what I'm saying? When you on 10, it's nothing higher than 9. But when you on 10, are you on 10 yet? I've been on 10. You know what I mean? Supercharge. Welcome to the Supernaturalist. Ahab. To all my cousins. Peace to you. I'm just digging on the Octahedron. Alright, because when you're looking at it from a different dimension, it is your Merkabah filled in, packed out, inside, out. You know, we are talking that geometry, the geometrics of the earth, the measuring thereof. But the earth is your body in this instance. Yeah. We're just talking about you. You know, you're gonna see how in just a few. But keep this in your mind. We're just building on Octahedron. With your Merkabah dead smack in the center. Because you are the captain of this plane. Yeah. Alright, Octahedron. Okay, we're talking elementals. Real starships. Real light beings. Ether. Light. Hope you're plugging up just right. Hope your charge is magnificent. We about to get magnetic. Yeah. This right here is a hologram, an electrostatic contribution to the phase of a chain of magnetite crystals from bacteria. The crystals are octahedral with facets. Okay. Octahedrals. Same shapes we was just digging on. Okay, but in the form of magnetite crystal. Magnetite crystal. We're going to figure out and see where these crystals are actually located and who has these crystals. You notice the shape? Okay. Electrostatic. You want to know how to build your energy field? We're going to get you there. See, when you're a Jedi, keeping the code is a must. Otherwise, you drift off to what they refer to as the Sith, right? But don't get lost in the sauce, because you're from the dark side. Proof of magnetic antennas in the brain. A study by Dr. Joseph Kversvink, California Institute of Technology. Magnetite crystals located in the cerebral cortex. All right. That is your cerebrum. There's also some to be located in the temporal lobe of the thalamus, in the cerebellum, in the pineal gland, in the medulla oblongata, in the membrane, the optic nerve. Found evidence of 5 million magnetite crystals per gram of brain cell. 100 million magnetite crystals per gram of cerebral cortex. Magnetite crystals can sense very weak signals and react to them. Magnetite reacts over 1 million times more sensitive to an external magnetic field than any other biological matter. This means that external magnetic fields directly influence the brain. This can affect and disturb many functions of our metabolism. But when your metabolism is regulated by melanin, you start to look like Neo. Alright. This is all Hawa's endowment onto you, right? You were endowed with this. You know. And then it's from this magnetite that you're actually able to sense the magnetic field and bring your thoughts into materialization by way of charge. That's what a thought is. It's an electrical signal. And if you ever seen what magnetism does to electricity, it gives it shape. It shapes the particle, the light. It bends. You apply that static attention, right? That attention to true action, you have a manifestation. Crystals located in the brain. Right? There are many different crystal shapes. Alright? I'm talking double terminated, that absorbs and emits energy, transforms negative energy. You have points that concentrate and direct energy. You have clusters that radiate throughout space, and charges other crystals. And you have raw, which are strong, open energy, sporadic, and powerful. We're going to tap into a little examples like we always do, because it's that time of the classroom. So I appreciate everyone that, has been surfing the wave thus far, and we're going to continue. Peace, peace. Now I know you're going to sit up here and laugh because of the title. And that's okay, because I'm prepared for this moment in my life. Nonetheless, the first words that pop out in green, like the matrice, that is the matrix, is gamma. You see what I'm seeing? You see what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? It has to be all three. We're talking gamma. Shout out to Confresh. Gamma rays of radiation. We're talking radiation, right? We're talking energy that is ciphered through that which they refer to as the ether. Notice how there's stars. Now, I'm not saying that when you look into this void, that is the blackness, that is the ethereal substance. We're talking about light. I'm not saying all of that, but what I'm saying is that stars are this infinite source of powwow. All right, that you are generated from in material, which is where the elements take form. They're alluding to it a little bit. We're going to tap in just a little bit. Peace. Already we're talking cometas. We're just talking comets. You know what I'm saying? Peace to the build. You know what I'm saying? Because if you was to catch that build, we right on time. It's again, it's an allegory, an illusion. You know, but nonetheless, we get what they're saying. We get the drop. I hope you get it. Now, the bro made an interesting point. He said, I hope you know it's a living thing. It's not just some rock that's flowing through so-called space. I hope you know it's a living thing. We're going to get it back real quick just to show you proof that it's a living thing. We're only talking about living things. We're only talking about that wata. You know what I'm saying? We're just talking that wata. Alright, so you get what's going on. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead a bit, okay? Because not all of this is necessary. But let's peep it from here. Let's go. No sign of intelligent life anywhere. As soon as he says that, look at what he's lit up with, right? Now, notice what's, surrounding him. We're going to turn it up a little bit. It's a bit low. Excuse that for what it is, but yeah, we're gonna bring it back just a little bit. It's no form of intelligent life, and look at what and who he's surrounded by. Now notice they all had their lasers aimed his crown, right? We're talking his mental, where that brain is located. They taking shots, and like I said, it's always a headshot. It's always a headshot, especially when the drop is about you. It's always a headshot. Okay, now he's surrounded by what? I'm talking like 1,000,000 bots. You know what I'm saying? If you're not natural, you're a bot. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about 1,000,000 bots, the swarm mind. Their development was to tap people into the swarm mind. They want everyone to be of the swarm, because when you're of the swarm, you don't think for yourself. And when you don't think for yourself, you can all agree to take out the threat, the enemy, at any reason. And it's normally operated by way of fear. So he's surrounded by the swarm. Now let's pay attention to what he uses to get himself out of such a jam. When you get jammed up, you never know what's going to happen. So you need to know how to respond in such matters, right? Now let's get the metaphysic drop on this, because this is the metaphysic of the magnetic brain. You see what's going on? Do you see what's going on? My guy hit the crystal, charged up the crystal, and the crystal started getting rid of all the bots. We can't make this up. Look, he was surrounded by all bots. He said there's no form of intelligent life, and bang. Got rid of them all. Everybody got the smoke. Everybody got the smoke. We can make this up. Everybody got the smoke. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and close this example out for now. Peace to you, to the real ones, man. Shalom to the tribe. Shalom to the tribes. Let's get it. Alright, peace, y'all. So I've put this on my IG page before, And, when I'm in between research and I'm just compiling, different things I find interesting, I just go ahead and post straight away. I mean, y'all know how I do. Y'all know where to find me. Let's get to it.
Magic can be actually scientifically proved. Well, if you don't, you are about to know. Okay? In our brain, the same way our blood is the carrier and the conduit of heavy metals, our brain is also the conduit and a place where all of these crystals reside, guys. So we start here. We all have all of these crystals in our brain. We have this very special one, which is called a magnetite, guys. All of these crystals reside, guys. So we start here. We all have all of these crystals in our brain. We have this very special one, which is called a magnetite, guys. This magnetite is really a small enzyme, okay? It is the main crystal that serves as a neurological communicator between the brain and these crystals that we all have in the brain. So the magnetite is so strong that can actually connect us to the earth of the earth core. Okay?
Now we're gonna go ahead and bring it back so we can get what she's saying, but I mean we cannot make this stuff up. Right? We cannot make this stuff up. So peace. We're gonna get it real quick. Hey,
This magnetite is really a small enzyme, okay? It is the main crystal that serves as a neurological communicator between the brain and these crystals that we all have in the brain. So the magnetite is so strong that can actually connect us to the earth of the earth core, okay? And to its electromagnetic field through the crystals in our brain and the crystals in the cores of Earth. Guys, the easiest way to do it is through vibration, whether you are whether you're oming or whether you're humming. Feel the vibration right here. This vibration will activate all of the crystals in your brain, using it as a conduit of communication, not just with the internal energy, but also with the external energy of such electromagnetic fields, guys.
certain electromagnetic fields. I mean, we're just talking about the building on you. Peace to the loved ones. We're going to continue this ether bus. Ayah. So studying, metaphysics can actually give you quite the insight when it comes to these topics. And furthermore, people like him sound just really hilarious and funny when they go to explaining what they know they don't understand. But, we're going to have a teachable moment, paint out a few examples, and we're going to draw the line between what we refer to as metaphysics and what they call quantum physics. Peace.
You may have heard about bird navigation. There are some species of birds that in some seasons of the year migrate, for example, from north to south or from south to north to follow the seasons and the climate that they prefer. And for a long time, people have been wondering, how do these birds navigate? How do they know which way to fly? There is a very fascinating hypothesis in science, in biology, and in quantum mechanics nowadays, that certain types of birds use quantum effect to find what is the direction of the Earth's magnetic field going from north to south. So to understand how this works, I'm going to start from a very, very basic principle of physics and of quantum mechanics, which is the Pauli exclusion principle. Let's take, for example, a helium atom. A helium atom has two positive charges in the nucleus and two electrons orbiting around the nucleus. Now, you shouldn't think of these two electrons as moons orbiting around the planet. They are actually waves of probability around it.
It's interesting that the first example he says is moon. Again, picking up from last drop, all of this is interconnected. And keep in mind that as he tries to explain what we just heard we have naturally in our brain, also sounds like the type of approach they give to the spinning globe. Alright, so peep the drop. Let's see.
A helium atom has two positive charges in the nucleus and two electrons orbiting around the nucleus. Now, you shouldn't think of these two electrons as moons orbiting around the planet. They are actually waves of probability around the nucleus. And so, in fact, they occupy the same space, the same cloud around the nucleus. And because of that, they need to obey what's called the Pauli exclusion principle, which tells that their magnetic dipole needs to be anti-aligned. Electrons not only have a negative charge, but they also have a magnetic moment. That's called the spin, although nothing is spinning in this case. And the Pauli...
It's called a magnetic spin, even though nothing is spinning. Like I said, keep this in mind, right? When it comes to this spinning ball.
Charge, but they also have a magnetic moment. That's called the spin, although nothing is spinning in this case. And the Pauli exclusion principle tells you that the spins must be pointing in the opposite direction. Now let me clarify here that when I draw one spin pointing up and one spin pointing down, this is not a proper representation of the state that the electrons are in. These states, these electrons, are in what is called an entangled quantum state. Entanglement is a very special form of correlation that exists only in quantum mechanics, where two particles are correlated with each other, but they lose their individuality. So in this case, when I draw a spin pointing up and a spin pointing down, this is not the true entangled state. The true entangled state is one where the two spins are opposite to each other, but they don't have a state of their own. It's like taking two people and saying they have the opposite gender, but they don't have a gender of their own. Their gender is only defined in the correlation between each other, but not in the individual. This is in fact the kind of quantum state that two electrons sharing an orbit will have to be into. Now imagine you can separate these two electrons by some means. Then these electrons can move individually and flop around and precess and move. And so after some time, you may find yourself in a situation where the two electrons are now pointing parallel. Now, if that were the case, these two electrons could no longer go back together onto the helium atom. The Pauli exclusion principle excludes that. Okay? Now, the interesting thing is that there is a hypothesis, and I might stress, this is just a hypothesis. It's not easy to prove it, although there is some good evidence that certain birds, in particular the European robins, use this quantum mechanical correlation to find the direction of the Earth's magnetic field. And the way it's presumed to work is this. The receptor is the eye of the bird. Imagine this is the eye of the bird. There is a retina in the eye of the bird. This retina contains some complicated molecules that are connected to the optical nerve of the bird. And these molecules may have some pairs of electrons.
Now he's over here trying to explain that the bird's eyes pick up on magnetic frequencies and that the magnetic connection is through the eye of the bird. But we already know that the magnetite is in the brain of humans and animals. Magnetite, crystals, which is what no one wants to talk about because we're talking the technology of crystals, quartz. But he's not going to know how to explain it. He's trying to say it's coming from an eye. All right.
Electrons that share the same orbit. Okay, so imagine these two electrons that are bound together and share the same orbit. Because of the Pauli exclusion principle, they have to have opposite spin, which I'm drawing like this, but remember this drawing is not the real thing because I cannot classically draw an entangled state. The next thing that happens is that if a quantum of light, photon, hits the retina of the bird, the energy of that quantum of light can split the two electrons apart. So now I have these two electrons that are pointing in opposite directions. But now on Earth, we have a magnetic field. It's the Earth magnetic field. So I can draw it as an arrow like this. The magnetic field is normally indicated with the letter B. And in this magnetic field, these spins will start to precess. They will wobble around like a gyroscope.
And here they go with the spinning hijack. Okay, they always have to correlate everything to a spin or a wobble to get an effect. When in actuality, we're talking about sensories of magnetic and energetic electrical fields. You know what I'm saying? But they don't know how to tap into that necessarily because they don't yet understand it or even understand it for that matter. So they try to explain it by way of quantum physics. But this is the metaphysics of the magnetic brain.
It's difficult to explain it in a drawing, and it is very likely to involve more spins than just these two ones. But the hypothesis is that depending on the orientation of the bird with respect to the Earth magnetic field, these two spins may or may not remain in this quantum correlated, quantum entangled state. So now you have two possibilities. If they remain in the entangled state where they have the opposite spin, they can recombine together into their molecular orbital, and when they do so, they release back the original energy that was given by the photon. So in doing so, in recombining, they give out a stimulus to the optical nerve of the bird. Whereas if the orientation is wrong, these two spins end up parallel and they can no longer...
Stimulus, huh? Shout out to everybody getting those stimmies, man. I ain't mad at you. But nonetheless, they're trying to go ahead and take this magnetic sensory that we have in the pituitary gland and in the pineal gland as an extra sensor or sensory gland as a form of optical nerves of spinning light. And that's just not so, which is why when you dig into the metaphysics, this sounds like a bunch of rubble. You know, and I just can't help but laugh at it. I'm trying not to be, too loud. Don't want to disrupt my little one's peace. But it's hilarious. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and carry on to the next one. Peace to the real ones.
We have eyes for vision, we have ears for hearing, but we have no organ that we know of that's involved in magnetoreception. It's a complete mystery.
For decades, researchers have tried.
He said it's a complete mystery. Okay? They don't even know how it works, but you have natural by law kicking it with you in the back of the classroom, letting you know, Managa, how it get down. Okay? We're bringing you studies that can't necessarily be comprehended by the, therefore recognized pros. But we're here at Drive Nation getting it real easy, real ABC. It's really ABC. Let's get it. Let's get it back. Let's go.
And we have ears for hearing, but we have no organ that we know of that's involved in magnetoreception. It's a complete mystery.
For decades, researchers have tried to answer a simple question with a remarkably complex answer. How do birds find their way?
I had never thought that I would get to a place where we would start understanding the quantum mechanical mechanism that goes on inside the bird.
You see the distinction between quantum physics and metaphysics? meta being beyond, you know what I'm saying? Not to line it up with the whole metaverse and none of this hijack shit, but we on to something. You know what I mean? We are on to something. Let go.
One of the greatest mysteries in sensory biology is how animals are able to sense the Earth's magnetic field and to use it to navigate.
Researchers have shown that some animals can indeed sense Earth's magnetic field, using it to navigate. But how birds like the European robin detect such a weak field has long baffled biologists.
It's the last sense we effectively know nothing about, and the solution of this problem.
It's the last sense that we effectively know nothing about. And I'm pretty sure that reason is because their pineal gland is often calcified. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that everybody in their genetic makeup rocks like that, but it's safe to assume the majorities of those that align themselves with the circular way of, conducting oppression seems to have a high amount of calcification in those, sensory glands. It all makes sense, hawa hawa. Like he said, it's a mystery to him.
It's the last sense we effectively know nothing about. And the solution of this problem, I would say, is the greatest holy grail in sensory biology.
And although the answer has remained elusive, researchers have put forward theories that they hope could explain this mystery.
Over 40 years ago, in the late 1970s, a physicist first dreamt up the idea that a light-sensitive molecule might be used by animals to sense the Earth's magnetic field.
This theory proposed that animals...
They're going to say light is being used to sense magnetic fields when magnetic properties, fields, period, bend light. But we're going to let them give a theory. We don't knock theories.
Could sense magnetic fields using a quantum mechanical phenomenon called radical pairs.
The radical pair hypothesis suggests that you have a light-sensitive molecule, it absorbs light, and in the end, you have a radical pair, so two unpaired electrons.
The magnetic spins of this radical pair can take on two states, both pointing in the same direction, a triplet state, or both pointing in opposite directions, a singlet state. The pair swing.
This is exactly what the other example was saying, right? Some more of that BS. Right? It's more of that BS. This is what they feed you at school, and then they turn around and tell you from Africa. Alright? And that's where we're going to stop it with this example. We're going to go ahead and carry on to the next one. Peace, peace.
Imagine waking up on the beach before dawn. The glimmer of light leads you to the shoreline. Suddenly, a wave pulls you in. At first, you use the direction of the waves to guide you, but once you're in the open sea,
you use the direction of the wave, 'cause it's all in the wave. Peace and Aha to Dry Nation. That is you, Shalom. We just talking about the wave.
Wave pulls you in. At first, you use the direction of the waves to guide you, but once you're in the open sea, with powerful currents bombarding you, and very little light, how can you be sure of where you are and where you're going? For a hatchling sea turtle, the answer is magnetoreception.
Now, how come this scientist is saying when you're far away from light, you're able to sense the magnetic field, and the pros was just talking about how they need light receptors? You see the entanglement, which is the BS, the horse stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not making sense. It's not making sense. But when you're tapping in with the metaphysics, that is the channel with the 9 above to get to Hawa, man, it starts to click, right? But it's only the wave.
Wave pulls you in. At first, you use the direction of the waves to guide you, but once you're in the open sea, with powerful currents bombarding you, and very little light, how can you be sure of where you are and where you're going? For a hatchling sea turtle, the answer is magnetoreception. That's the ability to sense magnetic fields. We know many animals use this sixth sense for navigation. What we don't know is exactly how magnetoreception works.
Nobody knows how it works. No one knows how it works. This is why you tapping in right here, live at the Naturalist, brought to you by Drive Nation. Hey, how to the creator. We just doing what we can. So with that being said, we're going to carry on to the next one. Peace, peace.
Like the Marvel comic book hero, we are all Iron Men and women inside. Iron composes the heme of hemoglobin, the red pigment in our blood. It's stored in ferritin, a protein ubiquitous in almost all living organisms. And most curiously, it's found in mineral form within the human brain. The iron mineral is magnetite, and its name is an obvious clue to its most intriguing properties, such as it is the most magnetic of Earth's naturally occurring minerals. So, what is the magnetic mineral doing inside our brains? Galactic geobiologist Joseph Kishwin thinks he might have the answer. Magnetite allows us to sense the Earth's magnetic field.
Now, how come they're talking about magnetite allowing us to sense the magnetory or, magnetic electrofield when, everyone else is saying it's a mystery, right? Because they don't want to give credence to the fact that it's a crystal. We're talking elements. They don't want to give credit to the fact that you are of the star seed. You know what I mean? We're talking elemental charge. Like I said, this is just a connection from where we left off. A-hop to the background noise, you should already know right now. My little one's probably charged up. You know what I mean? I hope you charged up. Yeah, because we about to get into it. Let's go.
Like the Marvel comic book hero, we are all Iron Men and women inside. Iron composes the heme of hemoglobin, the red pigment in our blood. It's stored in ferritin, a protein ubiquitous in almost all living organisms. And most curiously, it's found in mineral form within the human brain. The iron mineral is magnetite, and its name is an obvious clue to its most intriguing property.
I told you we are the Marvel. I told you we are the Marvel. We're going to get it back one more again.
Like the Marvel comic book hero, we are all Iron Men and women inside. Iron composes the heme of hemoglobin, the red pigment in our blood. It's stored in ferritin, a protein ubiquitous in almost all living organisms. And most curiously, it's found in mineral form within the human brain. The iron mineral is magnetite, and its name is an obvious clue to its most intriguing properties, such as it is the most magnetic of Earth's naturally occurring minerals. So, what is the magnetic mineral doing inside our brains?
If this is the most magnetic material on Earth, you have the utmost capability of sensing not only just the Earth's magnetic field, but you can also bend magnetic frequencies at your will when properly channeled. This is why you must sit and meditate on the law. This is why you must meditate on your vibration to tune your frequency. This is why the breath is in 432, which is the 9. That spiral is above the barrier. But if you're not tapping in with the breath, if you're not keeping the code, if it's not most high over everything, it's nothing.
In mineral form within the human brain, the iron mineral is magnetite, and its name is an obvious clue to its most intriguing properties, such as It is the most magnetic of Earth's naturally occurring minerals. So, what is the magnetic mineral doing inside our brains? Galactic geobiologist Joseph Kishwin thinks he might have the answer. Magnetite allows us to sense the Earth's magnetic field, which you can see in all the flying birds. This remarkable ability is present all across the animal kingdom, from bacteria and birds to turtles and bats. Sensing the planet's geomagnetism grants these creatures a keen sense of direction and location, known as Magnetoreception. Being able to orient on Earth is obviously a huge advantage, so it's no wonder that this ability is so widespread. However, there was not strong evidence that humans could sense magnetic fields until earlier this year, when a new study was published.
There was no proof. The ancients were full of the proof. You know, they were able to create what they refer to as star maps. That is, structures aligned to a constellation. You know what I'm saying? Constellational alignment. We're talking the cosmic doctrine, but y'all not ready for that wave yet. You know, these cyborgs and where they're racing to are actually different breeds of races of these different star people. Alright? Some call them angels, some call them whatever the hell you want to call them. Anunnaki, you know, Nephilim, Watchers, Grigori, Archons, all of these names play. Alright? And they are a fusion, along with a fusion of many other things. Peace to the real ones.
By the Kishwan and a team of researchers sat subjects down in a chamber shielded from electromagnetic interference and altered magnetic fields inside while watching participants' brain waves. They found a clear-cut, quantifiable and reproducible effect on the amplitude of subjects' alpha waves, which are a type of electrical brain activity. In other words, we do seem to have a rudimentary magnetic sense, although it is undeniably weaker than comparable sense in other animals. So how does it work?
I strongly disagree, but we just brought you for the confirmation. Again, for the confirmation. Hey, how to the cons, man. We just talking about you, the Royal Negus of India Superior, man, the land of Prester John. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to, enjoy my time, man. I'm enjoying my flow. Hope you are too. Peace to the real ones. Magnets are really important, all right? And, their overall involvement as far as health, beneficial factors go, underlooked a lot. And with that being said, we've actually given our little one a head start on them. And we ourselves use them, from time to time. And just, what they do and what the properties on the body are enhanced, with the usage of magnets. It begins to work in, many wonders. So we're going to go ahead and tap into this example, and we're going to see how all these things unite and come together for, a supernatural effect, man, especially when we're talking about the elemental ones, when we're digging on this crystallized form as a star. Peace, peace.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Kohler, Coral Castle Explained. In my last video, I discussed with you the correlation between the stones of Giza that make up the Great Pyramid and showed their correlation with the coral that Ed used at the Coral Castle. In this video, I'm going to show you how the same connection is directly related, not only to the human body, but also to consciousness. This is a really amazing thing that I just discovered, so stick with me to the end. I'm thinking you'll be amazed. Having just passed Valentine's Day, it brought to mind an odd piece of trivia that I had once heard about the Feast of Love table that you can see there in the picture. This 5,000-pound giant heart-shaped table that Ed apparently made for Agnes. It is actually the largest Valentine in the world. But some people have speculated that the table was not necessarily referencing his love for Agnes, but perhaps a clue in regard to how he was able to move the portal blocks. Researcher and scientist Greg Braden talks about how the heart has the ability to generate the largest field of energy of any organ in the body. In fact, it has been shown that consciousness and human emotion have the ability to affect the Earth's magnetic field. If it is true that our thoughts and perceptions, empowered by our emotions, can affect a change in the Earth's magnetic field, is it possible that this same energy can affect a change in physical objects? In my previous video, I mentioned the similarities in the structure between calcite and quartz. The structure of calcite and quartz is similar because they come from the same crystalline family. Quartz, as you may know, is used for a variety of things, including creating prisms for optical instruments, using them in watches, radios, and an assortment of other gadgets. Quartz, due to its crystalline structure, is not only able to control the frequencies of oscillating electric currents, it is also able to convert electric signals back into...
Alright, and these oscillating electric currents are again referred to as your will within the will. We are talking your chakras. You know what I'm saying? You have multiple electrical components that basically make you a super plant. Which is why we're now in the supernatural phase. You go ahead and you combine all of these elements together and you get the marvel that is the miraculous work of Hawa, right? But, you know, don't just take my word for it. Look at all the technology that's being used thus far with crystallization infused with it. But when we, you know, are able to take it to that level higher, when we infuse it with the star seeds, it gets a little bit crazy, you know what I'm saying? And this is what had Atlantis and Lemuria popping off. Not to say that the achievement is to get back to that, because their destruction was for a purpose. That period is done for a reason. But when we're able to obtain the return of the natural order, this is a, you know, part of getting your powwow back. So we're gonna go ahead and continue. Peace, peace.
The sound waves. It is even able to take weak sound waves, convert them into electric current, amplify them, and reconvert them back into sound waves again. My point is that the crystalline structure is a perfect catalyst for converting one frequency of energy into another, and that calcite shares the same exact crystalline configuration. Now keep that in mind. As you may know, our modern-day computers and our ability to communicate on the World Wide Web exists because of silicon chips. Silicon chips originate from rock quarries that have quartz. This material is then fabricated by today's computer chip factories into silicon chips and placed in every computer today. And what do these chips do? They convey information sent through electrons via the crystalline lattice of the quartz, allowing you to see and hear this video today. Therefore, if the crystalline structure of quartz can allow all of this to happen, why can't calcite, which shares an identical crystalline structure, perform in a similar way? Why is it not possible for information in our brains to interact with the calcite, to convert the Earth's energy through the calcite, using our intentions to affect it?
Notice how he said using our intention. Now, this is why we're here, because everything has been built and we're building around intention. We're talking mental focus. And why also is he highlighting calcite specifically? He's giving you examples of quartz. But what's up with calcite? And keep in mind, we were also digging on magnetite earlier, as far as magnetite being the strongest magnet mineral. And, you know, we have, I don't know how many per gram, you know, of magnetite within the brain. So this is all getting, you know, really interesting as we build on that Wata. Let's see where this goes.
A change in our physical world. But for this to happen, we would need a catalyst, a connection between ourselves and the stones. Scientists have shown that the magnetite in some migrating birds is why they are able to travel thousands of miles. The magnetite interacts with their brains, providing them with a compass heading to their destination.
Now, when we were digging on, science's take on animals, none of them referred to any of them sensing magnetic fields by way of magnetite in their brain. They kept saying it was through the vision and the spinning of such light refracting into the eyes, therefore detecting magnetic fields. But magnetism bends light, so there's no way light can sense a magnet when magnet would give light its being, its form. And this is how we're able to then, build shape, especially when we're talking about shape of energy, because light and energy itself has to, be within a particle. Magnetism is pure force. Okay, especially when you have two opposing forces. This is where they think they have gravitational spiral reaction down packed, and it's not necessarily so, because as we saw in the example from quantum physics, nothing is, spinning around per se, and that was out the horse's mouth.
Humans have also been shown to create this biogenetic material magnetite within our bodies naturally. The magnetite forms naturally in a crystalline structure located within our brain cavity. Therefore, if it is possible for humans to naturally produce magnetite in a crystalline structure within our brain cavity that interacts with the Earth's magnetic field, I wondered if it was possible if calcite was also naturally produced in our brain in a crystalline structure adjacent to our brain in some way that would allow our thoughts, intentions, and emotions to interact with the calcite in the stones using the Earth's energy in a similar way that a quartz crystal empowers modern devices. After all, if gravity is just a field of energy, and if Ed was right that all things have a positive and negative polarity, all we would have to do is reverse the polarity by manipulating or changing the gravitic field through the calcite, just as a quartz crystal is able to manipulate and change fields of energy, as I have discussed before. However, to do this, we would need a catalyst, a connection between ourselves and the stones, so that we could personally affect the change through our intentions and reverse the field of gravity. I believe that I have found that connection. The pineal gland is a small organ situated in...
Now notice how they jump straight to the pineal gland, which is why I said that those, proposed geniuses, the proposed professionals, had a little calcification in their pineal gland, because they're not able to make the correlation between the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the cerebellum, and the cerebral cortex into possessing and maintaining magnetite crystals, as well as calcite. But this is drop that we've already touched on the Naturalist right here at 432. We're just, getting a scientific breakdown for this presentation, because this is the metaphysics of the magnetic brain.
The exact center of the brain between the left and right hemispheres. It has been thought by scientists to be an evolutionary leftover. However, many others believe it to be much more than that. In a recent study, it has been shown that the pineal gland contains a new form of biomineralization similar to the production of the biologically created magnetite crystals within our human brain. What has been found in the pineal gland is calcite. It is my belief that Ed Leeds-Gallman was able to do the miraculous by harnessing the natural energy of the earth, conducted through the calcite and the coral, empowered by his intentions that were conveyed and broadcast through the pineal gland at the center of our brains. In my next video, I will discuss the pineal gland in more depth, a subject called counter-rotating fields, and how this relates to man's perpetual energy device. On that side.
Now, the thing that they're not able to connect as far as the full-blown expression of this magnetic energy is none other, of course, than the ether. You know what I'm saying? We're just picking up from the last presentation and, you know, pushing forward. At the same time, once this ether is fully understood as far as how it works, what it does, why it's referred to as the fifth element, what does it mean to be personified as the ether, all of these things come in, you know, into play, into function, into key motion. And this is why this is the metaphysics of the magnetic brain. And when we begin to conduct ourselves as the Ethiopians, then, you know, things get completely interesting. So we're going to go ahead and get a bit of this before we close out. And let's see what happens.
So this is a model that was developed by Yonel Denyu, and it's talked about in this paper, Fundamentals of a Theory of Ether, and this is part 1. And it was uploaded to ResearchGate on July 26, 2020. And I have actually given you a couple of sneak peeks of this model in a couple of my videos. So I'm going to start by reading the abstract. The necessity of acknowledging the existence of a new chemical element is discussed. A new view of the electric current as a diffusion wave in a wire is advanced. The production of a magnetic field by an electric current is explained in terms of the mechanics of surface waves. So today we're going to be focusing on this idea of the surface waves. I'm going to show you what a surface wave is, and then I'm going to lead you into the development of this model. Now you'll notice that I am also named on this paper, and this is because I helped Yonel bring his model to life with computer software, and which you've already seen in a couple of my other videos. And so now I'm going to explain what the model is and what it represents. But just as a reminder, because this is a very, very important point, in the previous video that I made, I showed you some experiments that Yonel did with spinning cylinders, and I showed you how when you have cylinders spinning next to each other, when they spin in opposite directions, they attract, and when they spin in the same direction, they repel. And so this concept is going to become very important for the model that I am about to explain. So what exactly is a surface wave? Surface waves are the waves that you find on the surface of lakes and large bodies of water. You find that they appear when it is windy, and on windy days the waves appear and they propagate on the water towards the shore. So here is a video I took of the surface waves at the lake that I spend a lot of time at in the summer, and you can see that the waves come in and they propagate towards the shore, and when they get to the shore they crash. So what exactly is going on? What exactly is going on with the water molecules to make these waves do what they do? So here is an animation. Here's an animation of how surface waves work. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing the interface between the air, which is up here, and the water, which is down here. What you're seeing is that when the wind blows, and I'm assuming the wind is blowing from left to right in this animation, what happens is it causes the water molecules to circulate in circular motion. So you can see here on the surface of the wave, the molecules are orbiting, circulating in a circular motion. And as you go down further and further, the circles get smaller and smaller. And with this kind of motion, what ends up happening is you have a wave that propagates. So here you see a wave propagating from left to right, and what you see is that the water molecules are not moving with the wave. They're moving locally in circular motions, and the wave is propagating towards the shore. So here's what we know about surface waves. Surface waves occur along the boundary between two different substances, for example, air and water. So in the case of surface waves that we see on the lake, on this lake, it's happening between the air, which is above the water, and the water. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward, but it doesn't have to be air and water. It can be water and the sand, or it can be air and the sand. You need a boundary between two very different substances. One substance is usually lighter, less inertial, like air, and the other one is usually more inertial, more dense, like water. So what else do we know about surface waves? The deformations propagate with the wave speed. So the deformations are these surface deformations, and they propagate with a certain speed, and that speed depends on a lot of factors like the density of the water and the density of the air and the speed of the air and the depth of the water. So a lot of things contribute to the speed of the wave. The water molecules remain at the same positions on average. So that's what we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is the water molecules themselves are not propagating or traveling with the wave. They're basically just moving in tiny little motions locally where they are right now. And so actually I have a little example of that. Here's a stick in the water, and you can see as the waves come, the stick is just sort of moving up and down, and these little foamy things on the water as well are they're not moving with the wave, they're actually moving in circular motions, just like what is going on here. So anything that is floating in the water is also going to be approximately moving in these circular motions. Okay, so the surface waves produce a combination of longitudinal and transverse motion. So this is really interesting. And to clarify this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little review of longitudinal waves and transverse waves and surface waves, just to give you an idea of what that means. So this is more just a review. Hopefully you already know this, but if not, this is an important piece of the puzzle. So here we have longitudinal waves. So here's what they say about longitudinal waves. In a longitudinal wave, the particle displacement is parallel to the direction of wave propagation. So in this picture here, the wave is propagating from left to right, but the molecules are moving back and forth. So down here you see a better depiction of that, where you see the wave is propagating, but the particle, here's a little red dot here, the particle is moving just from left to right. Each particle,
which is showing the relationship of the particle within the wave. You know, so as long as you are on the right wave, you're going to stay there, right? And it's up to you how you generate the wave of your intent. You know, the wave is just to show by way of an example. Once you're on a certain path or a certain frequency, you begin to project your intention. All right. We're going to see what we can find as we get ready to wrap it up. Hey,
spin them in opposite directions, they repel. And so what I did was I made a little graphic that I'm calling the law of circulating ether. It's really the law of circulating fluid, but this is an ether model, so I'm really referring, I want to talk about ether in regards to this model. And so this little graphic shows that, if the current, the electrogen is flowing in this direction from left to right, you're going to get counterclockwise circulation above the wire, and you're going to get clockwise circulation below the wire. And you may recall in, let's see if I can find that video, where Jonelle defines the right-hand rule, where he says if the rotors turn in the direction shown by his fingers, that's not the right one. So if you're using the Fleming's right-hand rule, if you curl your fingers in the direction of rotation, your thumb is going to point to the North Pole. Okay, your thumb is going to point to the North Pole. And that's what he shows here. The light one was the North Pole, and the dark one was the South Pole. And so this is the rule that I'm going to be using, only I'm going to use the right hand and the left hand, because some people are left-handed and it doesn't really matter. So here what you find is if you curl your fingers in the direction of rotation, your thumb is going to point to the North Pole. So when I see counterclockwise circulation, I'm going to call that north circulation. And when I see clockwise circulation, so if you take your left hand and curl it in the direction of circulation, then your thumb is going to point to the South Pole. Okay, so this is the whole picture. This is the wire. If the electrogen is flowing, if electricity is flowing from left to right, then you're going to get north circulation above the wire, and you're going to get south circulation below the wire.
And this is the breaking down of an electrical field. Okay, so when you see the electricity flowing from this point, you have a type of oscillation going over here represented as a current, and then you have a opposing force or oscillation down here. All right. And this is provided by every electrical current, okay, which is how the magnetism is able to shape the electrical current going forward. All right, so this is just an example, and let's see.
In the cross section that you're looking at, so in every cross section that you're looking at of the wire, this is what you're going to see. Now, if the electricity is flowing from right to left in this direction, you're going to get south circulation, clockwise circulation above the wire, and counterclockwise north circulation below the wire. So this is the standard that I'm using, that I'm developing, that matches Jonelle's convention, and it also matches mainstream convention. Okay, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about induction, because I get a lot of questions about, well, why do magnets cause iron filings to always attract? Okay, so this can be easily explained when you talk about it in terms of circulation. So if the circulation is spinning counterclockwise, if you have a cylinder that is spinning next to a cylinder that isn't spinning, okay, if it has north circulation from your point of view, it's all based on your point of view. If you're looking down at the cylinders and they're spinning counterclockwise, the cylinder next to it is going to begin to spin clockwise, because this circulation here is going to cause this to circulate this way. So it is going to spin counterclockwise. And so this circulation is going to induce the counter circulation in the cylinder next to it. And as we saw in Yarnell's experiments, when you have cylinders that are next to each other, that are spinning in opposite directions, they attract. Okay, so this is going to induce this one to spin such that it is attracted. It is never going to repel. And same with the south circulation. If the cylinder is spinning in a clockwise fashion and there's a non-moving cylinder next to it, it's going to induce counterclockwise motion. So this is going to be spinning clockwise. It's going to induce.
So this is how magnetism works, right? The opposite force, depending on its circulation, creates a repulsion. Okay, and then the object or the force at hand is then moved by way of no expression of this oscillation. And this can be tied into, birth as well, because that science is magnetism once again. And so when all of these things are actually digested and accounted for, the games that they play tend to, trickle down, and you begin to retake the powwow that is you in your understanding or overstanding, and you're able to process through this matrix, because they keep these types of things secret at the odds of you no longer needing them. And that's just more profitable for them. The more that they can have the masses rely on them for their every need, whereas they understand that the things that they need are by way of lack of knowing how to produce it. You're talking big business, and everywhere you turn in this country, it's all about the big business. And in order to maintain your business, you have to keep people out of it. And that's how this stuff works. You know what I'm saying? It is the separation of the polarities that gives an opposing force its repulsion. And this is the way the ether goes ahead and intervenes in place through magnetism and electrical currents. All right, especially those that are oscillating and, that are not.
It's counterclockwise motion. This is going to pull it in this direction. And so you're going to get opposite circulation, and the cylinders are going to attract. Okay, so this is my convention that I'm going to be following to show you how, to explain why two wires attract or repel when you have current flowing through them. So here we have a two-wire situation. So now we have Yarnell's model, but I have two wires next to each other. And then this is an animation, not live. So I'm just going to play the animation, and what you find is that the circulation is counterclockwise above the wire, clockwise below the wire, counterclockwise above the wire, and clockwise below the wire. So
keep in mind, all of this is the propagation of your wave, your intention, your mental focus, capability, or capacity. And this is all generation by way of your concentration. All right. And when we reflect on the law and we go ahead and express that which is the code, our wavelengths tend to materialize many different things, and the endless possibilities start to appear, right? And this is how we're able to maintain a general vision and continue to create. So with that being said, I hope you was able to surf the wave, and if we're going to have to cut it right here until the next time, make sure that you continue to tap in, and, Aloha to everybody tuning in. Peace, peace.